lady, I could tell you this. There's a lady in the rehab therapy thing, and she and I have the same birthday. We're both May 8th, both born on Mother's Day. And she will be 80, and she said to me, I don't know if you'll be around, but she knows I'll be 92. Oh, I was born in the Children's Hospital in San Francisco. And then we lived, my dad was in the service. My mother was a Red Cross nurse. And we moved to Southern California, lived at Fort MacArthur in San Pedro. And I went to the Sheridan School. No, not the Sheridan School. Anyway, it was a public school. And I was supposed to ride the bus, but I usually walked. And then we moved back to San Francisco. Lived in the Presidio. And then I went on the boat and the train. No, the streetcar, the boat, the train to Berkeley, to the academy.
Every day? How long did it take you?
Huh?
How long did it take you to do that?
Well, at least a half hour on the boat.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a long trip. We went down Market Street at the very end there, where the clock tower is, and caught the boat. Went across the bay and took a streetcar to Berkeley and went to the academy there.
How old were you when you met Elder Smith?
Oh, I was 18.
Was he in the academy too?
Well, he came there in the fall, and all the girls were going after him.
Did you go after him, or did he come after you?
Neither one. We didn't have anything to do with each other.
How did it happen?
Well, in chemistry class, he was across from me doing experiments, and a girl and I were doing some together on our side. And this girl was wild about him. And I didn't like him because he was always making things that blew up. But anyway, I had a party at my house one time. And my dad was a Pinkerton detective. He was out of the service then. And he worked at the Sunshine Biscuit Company in San Francisco, and he'd bring all these fancy cookies home. So we had a table full of fancy cookies. And so we decided to have the party. And the kids came, and it was one of those progressive parties where you had to go out and find this and find that and bring it back. We stole a slow sign off. That's a no-no. And we had to find, I don't know who made up this list, had to find an empty slow gin bottle. So George emptied it.
It was full? So you drank a bottle of gin?
He went to the liquor store and bought it. And emptied it. And
make him drunk?
Yes, but he got real silly. I shouldn't be putting this on here, Dave. Nobody but you sees this. Anyway, his brothers took him home. But he just sat there and laughed and giggled and laughed. Everything was funny to him. Oh dear.
That's when you thought you liked him. Good for them.
Well, the way we got together was we had a party at the school, and my boyfriend of too long standing came over from San Francisco, and George was living with a family that had a boy and a girl that they'd known each other in Texas. He didn't like that girl, and she couldn't keep her hands off of him. And so he was running around in the rooms at the school trying to get away from her, and I was trying to get away from Charles, who I didn't want to see. And so we bumped into each other, and he says, "Do you have a partner?" I said, "No, do you?" So we became partners.
This is a party?
Yeah. And I don't know what happened to Charles and Marta, but they were out of the picture.
And then,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pause it. So when you started going together, you were 18? He was 18 too?
He was 19 and I was 18 when we got married, so probably I was 17 when I met him. And are we back on?
Was it love at first sight?
No.
No. You didn't like
It was a matter of convenience.
Oh.
But we got friendly, and one day we had a day when you could either go to school or take the day off. I don't know why. Maybe it was a teacher's
Conference.
I don't know what it was. So we walked up to Berkeley, to the campus of UC Berkeley, and sat down on the grass. And he told me all about his life in Texas, and I told him about my life. And from then on, we were partners.
So was that during your senior year or freshman? Was that during your senior year or junior year? When was that?
Yeah, that was early in our senior year.
So by the time your senior year ended, you were married?
10 days after we graduated,
Wow.
we married. But we only went together 5 months. But we were very mature.
So you thought.
We knew what we wanted.
So you thought.
And we were saving our money. We were not going to tell anybody until the right time
To get married or you were engaged?
to get married.
Oh, okay.
So that was a mistake because my mother and my sister and I went to camp meeting, and our principal was in charge of the little grocery store at camp meeting up at Lodi. And he said, "Well, congratulations, Mrs. Morgan." She thought he meant because I graduated. And he said, "No, because she's getting married." Took her groceries and ran out of the store to find me. And we never could convince her that George was coming up that night to tell them what we were planning. She never believed it.
Thought they were going to run away?
No, she just thought we were going to sneak it. Yeah, I guess so. So anyway.
That's funny.
Oh my. And then that ended camp meeting for her. She went home. We all went home. And she told my dad, and I don't know whether he cared one way or the other. He was kind of passive.
Your mother wanted you to be single longer?
She wanted me to go to college like my sister did.
Oh, okay.
But I was not a college person. At least not then. Maybe I would have been later, but I wasn't then.
Why were you not a college person?
I wasn't interested.
Oh, okay.
I just,
Didn't want to be a teacher or a nurse or anything?
no, I was just through with school.
You just wanted to be a housewife?
I don't know if I even wanted that. Anyway, that's how.
Did he have to talk very long to get you to agree to be married? Did he have to talk very long to agree to get you to say, "Okay, I'll marry you"?
No.
You were ready, huh?
Yes.
Interesting.
We were driving one night down to the church on a Friday night. They always had Friday night young people's meeting. And after it was over, he was going to take me home, and he did a U-turn down the street there. He said, "Honey, will you marry me?" And I said, "Yes," right on
Like
that. So that was it. And when we found our apartment and paid the utilities and everything, we had just maybe less than $1 left over. That's the way you did things in those days.
What was he doing for work?
Oh yeah, he was working with his dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had a secure job. And downtown, once a year, they had big sales. Like I thought I'd surprise him, so I took his check and spent every bit of it downtown. You could ride downtown free on the streetcar that day. I bought a toaster, the kind that the sides go down, and and for 50 cents. I mean, these were new things.
Wow.
He needed clothes, and so I bought him pajamas and underwear and socks and shirts and everything. I don't remember if I bought myself anything, but I spent the whole check, and when he came home, he was about to pass out to think his whole check had been spent. We hadn't even paid the rent. But, well, he was working for his dad, so.
He got a loan from his dad?
His dad wasn't very generous with the money, but somehow we managed.
So did you go on a honeymoon when you got married?
No,
You didn't go on a honeymoon?
we didn't even have a car. We used one of the Smith cars. They had several cars because they brought cars out from Texas and sold them. But one year at New Year's, we went up to visit our principal and his wife. Our principal had tried to keep George and me apart because he felt we were moving a little too fast, And so he had George up on the red carpet several times. But anyway, we liked him, and we went up to see them New Year's Eve, and it was Mr. Baldwin. And he had a little 32 Ford, I think it was. And we bought it from him for $99. We should have kept that thing. That was a treasure. But anyway, it got us around. Otherwise, we took the streetcar,
When was it you got married? What year?
39.
1939.
Same year I graduated from academy.
Oh. So, did you just go out and get a marriage license, or?
We went down. I was shopping and he was working. We met at a store accidentally.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I never come in this store. And I said, no, I don't either. It was a department store. It was in Oakland. And so he said, let's go get the license. So we did. We walked up the street to, City Hall or something. And got the license. I think it only cost $2. He was in his paint clothes. And I was dressed up. Anyway, we got it. And,
Did you have a ministerial performance ceremony today?
well, there was some friends of ours, Elder and Mrs. Sage. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but they were from San Francisco when we were, and his brother was an evangelist. So the Elder Sage married us in my mother's living room, and only the Smith family and my family were there. And Mrs. Sage sang a solo. And
How much advance notice did you give everybody you're getting married? How much advance notice did you give everybody you were getting married?
not very much, but my mother hurried it along. I don't know if she thought I was getting married because I was pregnant or just wanted to get it over with.
She was afraid you might be, huh?
Anyway, she hurried it along. She had me hemming dish towels, and we went shopping and bought clothes. And I remember she had a little lunch fixed. My mother was not a good cook. But she had a little lunch fixed, and George and I left as soon as we could get away. And the Smiths were a family, a loving family, and whenever you met them, all of them gave you big kisses and hugs, and I wasn't used to that. But some of our school friends gave us a shower,
Mm-hmm.
and they threw rice all over the apartment, the stairs and everything, and the landlady was very upset.
When did he go to school? George. When did he start school?
Well, we moved down to San Bruno, I think it was, or down near Palo Alto, down that way. And he was painting down there. And somehow he just, somebody talked to him and said, you need to be in school. And you need to get into the ministry. Well, he thought a lot about it, so we went up to PUC. Let me see. We moved to Napa, where he worked on Mare Island. They were getting those hospitals ready for the wounded vets that were coming home from World War II. And he was painting and taping and what have you, and making great money. Anyway, then finally we went to PUC, looked for a place. There was no place to rent, no place to buy. So we bought a lot, put an old trailer that we rented on it, and lived in that. Had no electricity because it was during the war. So we had to study by kerosene lamp. And he studied at night, worked in the afternoons, went to school in the morning. It was a tough row. And Kathy and I just stayed there. We took our showers down at the dorms because we didn't have water. He had a 5-gallon jug he'd fill for drinking and cooking and just washing up, you know. My sister was in the dorm at that time, and she was crazy about Kathy. And so we'd go down to her room and shower and everything. But it was not a very comfortable situation. And later on, Elder French, do you remember Elder French? He helped us build a little 3-room house there on that lot. And that little house is still there. I think they might have added one more room. But I saw it the last time we were up there. And that was much better. We moved into it before the inside walls were finished, but boy, that was a palace compared to what we'd had. And George's dad and his brothers came up and helped finish it up. I got on the roof and put some of the shingles on.
You did?
Uh-huh.
Wow. And
I had a big old wood stove to cook on. Old-fashioned wood stove. I don't know where it came from. I remember one time I was making bread and I ran out of wood. So the bread didn't turn out very good. But I liked living at PUC. It was good.
How many years were you there?
Well, he was into his 3rd year, and they asked him to come to Arizona and be principal of the grade school and teach 7th and 8th.
At the Arizona Academy?
That was in 44.
Wow.
Yep. So he didn't want to quit, but they urged him, and at that time, sometimes the school could pay and sometimes they couldn't. So sometimes you went without your check. Well, we sold our little house, which I felt bad about.
If you were to say something to Ernie, what would you say?
Ernie, if you're still around, I still love you. I still wish that we could be in contact. You've always been my little boy. You've always been loving and thoughtful.
If it was a tape being played and you were going to say something to the people, what would you say to everybody?
I don't know how to put it. Prescott Church has been a loving, friendly church to me. I will never forget how they went all out for George's memorial. And even though we were new there, it seemed like they took us in and made us a part of them. I have many good friends there I will never forget. Until this point in my life, I had no idea that I was so close to the end of it, because I felt good, everything seemed to be going fine, and then this leg problem struck, and it seems to have originated with breast cancer, and is in my bones. The doctor said it's adenocarcinoma, and I had no idea I had anything wrong, but I'm sure that from now on I'm going to know it very well. I will be living with Mr. Payne because I don't intend to take chemo or radiation, and even if I did, there'd be pain, so we're just going to let it take its natural course. But in the meantime, I want you all to know, I want everyone to know that you are in my thoughts and prayers and very dear to me.